Here we are, addressing the elephant in the room in most architecture and design studios at university. It's CAD. Probably after a couple of weeks of starting your studies within one of those creative fields, eventually you'll have to submit your work, and it's usually in the form of a digital project documentation. So that might very often include some sort of ground plan, sections, elevations of your project, and usually you'll have to submit them in a digital format. Sometimes you still draw them by hand. Do not forget to do that. It's a very good habit. It's a very good skill to have. But nonetheless, very often we'll submit them in a digital format because obviously there's some benefit. It's easy to go for the strategy of fake it till you make it and just use the software that you might already know and kind of tweak things so they look like a proper plan using Photoshop, or maybe at best you use Illustrator and you draw these plans. But there are massive benefits of actually starting using a CAD software as early in your studies as you possibly can. It is a steep learning curve. Those softwares are generally very, very elaborate. There's lots of tools and things you can do within them, and it's easy to kind of lose sight of the essentials as well. But nonetheless, you should just get started. Just give it a try. Just use the absolute basics within those software. Ignore all the complicated bits and learn as you go on. That's the best way to learn any software. We get a lot of criticism at university for not properly teaching some sort of software, but it's quite difficult to do that because every student has their own level of knowledge within computer programs in general, but of specific software as well. Not everybody has the same kind of hardware requirements. So some may use a Mac, some may use a PC, and not every software runs on each of those systems as well. And it's also quite tricky if you include a specific software within your curriculum, you're kind of binding yourself to a specific provider. That's always a thing people try to avoid. So it is best for you to kind of pick your own. And I've put together a little guidebook that helps you in that very initial starting phase and in how you make that decision of which software might be the most suitable for you and how you actually get started in using it. Because as soon as you download it, you install it and you open it, trust me, there's a lot of information and tools in those interfaces. So it is quite daunting. Particularly because these software have a lot of capabilities these days. Most of them have 3D tools, so you can build your entire project almost like a digital twin within that space. Many have quite reasonably good render capabilities as well, so you can produce visualizations from your models, and many also have features where you can have additional data assigned to all of these objects, and we'll talk about this a little bit later. Most importantly, they have a lot of benefits in how you exchange your plans with other stakeholders that are involved in planning. So of course, on the one hand, CAD software is largely vector based, so that means all your lines, everything stays as crisp and as precise as they need to be, regardless of what scale that you are portraying them. And most importantly as well, there are certain conventions in how plans are being drawn and how materials are being portrayed in these kind of 2D illustrations and all of that. So CAD software sort of provides you with the tools that you need to do that properly. Now, how do you choose your CAD software that you'll be working with maybe during your studies or maybe just during one semester? In general, many offices do that. It's either by personal preference or it's also by costs. These software have licenses that are quite costly, so especially practices might choose one of them over another basically because they are cheaper. But luckily for you guys, most major software companies offer free student licenses. So that could be through your university, that you either have access to all of these tools within the computers that they have, or you will get a chance to download all these software to your computer yourself, install it and run it, as long as you're a student and you are affiliated with your institution. So that's a massive advantage. And make sure that you download as many of these different software as you can, try them out, give it a go and see which one actually works for you as well. There are industry standards, and I think that's probably one of the best tips to have a look. In that country that you are studying at, or you're intending to work at, especially, maybe you're planning to move abroad after your studies, have a look at some of the job advertisements that are out there in your field, in that particular place that you're interested in working in. They will always specify what kind of software that they require you to know. So if you're planning, let's assume you're planning to move to Australia, have a look at a couple of offices and see what they are generally using. You'll get a good idea of what the industry standard might be in these countries. Because from my own experience, it really differs in what area that you are living and working in what these practices prefer to be using. I myself have grown up using ArchiCAD because it is a very common software that's used in practices in Switzerland. It still is one of the industry standards, and I've now moved to New Zealand where predominantly everyone uses Revit. So these are sort of things that you pick up on just looking at job advertisements. And of course, if you have a specific office, a specific place that you really want to work at one time, have a look what they are advertising, what they are looking for, and you can upskill in that software. Don't be scared that you might choose the wrong software. Don't panic of like, oh my god, now I've spent 2 years learning Revit and now everybody's using ArchiCAD. Don't worry at all. In essence, all these software, they work at a sort of similar level. They of course have completely different user interfaces, they have different terms for different tools that they might be using, but the way and how you navigate and how you use and how you draw these plans within CAD is essentially the same way. And it's a massive benefit if you manage to learn 2 different software properly and you manage to swap from one to the other. You'll have a massive advantage as a future employee of any office. So don't worry about any of that. Again, that guidebook that I put together sort of summarizes the things I'm talking about, and it goes into a bit more detail with some of them. It's a very short free PDF that you can download through Gumroad. Again, it's free. You can leave a tip if you'd like to, and if you find any value from it or you have any feedback or any comments about it, please leave me a review, and hopefully I can work on a second version of this as well. In the guidebook, I will briefly outline the kind of benefits and general features of some of the most common CAD software, which are ArchiCAD, Revit, AutoCAD and Vectorworks. Of course, there's many others available as well. And there's also a brief introduction to BIM, which is Building Information Model. It's a very specific tool or workflow these days. I won't go into much detail here, but we'll probably have to address that at a later stage as well. There is also a little pathway on how to get started. Immersive learning with any software, highly encouraged. You have to find some sort of a project, you have to find something that you're actually working on and then doing the things in the software, rather than just watching tutorials is not going to help you that much. So you actually have to use it, and you continuously have to use it, because it is a skill and it is a craft that you have to work on over years probably. I still learn new things every single time Don't forget your pencil. Hand drawings, hand sketches are still one of the most valuable tools that you can work with as an architect or as a designer. Don't use CAD as your primarily design tool. Even though it's called computer-aided design, it is not a design tool. Sketching is so much more immediate. The kind of coordination between our hands, our eyes, our brains, the way we move on paper, the way your thinking process kind of comes with the sketching, there's no substitution for that. CAD, of course, is really good as soon as you have to become more precise. So if you have an initial sketch and you take it into CAD and you draw it properly with the proper dimensions and measurements, sort of to verify if what you've just sketched works. Quite simply, if it fits on your site, if it fulfills all the requirements of room sizes and all these sort of things, of course you will need CAD to verify your initial sketches. But in this way, it is really important to find a workflow, a hybrid workflow of going back and forth between hand drawing, sketching, but also within the digital realm as well. I start with sketches, I scan it in, take it into CAD, draw it properly, and you will notice at some point you'll get stuck. And then don't try to lose sight of the bigger picture. Make sure that once in a while you print it out again and sketch on top of it again. So it's a constant iteration and refinement of what you're working on, and just one software will not solve it. So find that workflow. So yeah, that's basically a little overview of what's included in the guidebook. I hope it provides that kind of initial entry point into getting started using CAD and not being too afraid of that kind of daunting software. Let me know again in the comments or in the reviews if you're choosing to download the guidebook. If I've missed anything, if you have any other comments, any other questions, things that you found that you struggled with in the beginning. As I mentioned earlier, I'll be happy to update this guidebook and make this resource available for anybody else as well, and we keep working on it. Thank you.